A reading from Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. Many people shall come and say, "Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. For out of Zion shall go forth instruction, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. God shall judge between the nations, and shall arbitrate for many peoples. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore." On the west edge of Glacier Park, my cousins Donna and Matt have built a simple retirement home, constructed around their hope that guests would come to experience genuine hospitality and friendship. Each bedroom was planned to communicate welcome, and the open space overlooking Flathead Lake draws people together for delicious meals and healing conversations. And yes, people come from near and far to be refreshed in this grace-filled home. In the year that he died, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. compared the world to a global house. He quoted an author's idea for a novel where a widely separated family inherited a house in which they all had to learn to live together. Well, King said, "This is the great new problem of humankind. We've inherited a large house, a great world house, in which we have to live together. Black and white, Eastern and Western, Gentile and Jew, Catholic and Protestant, Muslim and Hindu. A family separated in ideas, culture, and interests, who, because we can never again live apart, must learn somehow to live with each other in peace." My cousins Donna and Matt know how to create a home of welcome and peace. Now we are faced with the greater challenge of making the world a place where all are welcome, clothed, and fed. Oh, it's easy to look around this global house and see other places where that's not happening. There are corners of injustice, rooms filled with brokenness, and it's easy to point the finger at those who've gotten it wrong. And yet, as people of faith, we also know that we're called to first look at our own rooms, at the log in our own eyes, as Jesus said, and to clean our corner of the global house. That's where we begin, cleaning out the dirt in our own corner of this global house, repairing that which is broken or soiled. Reinhold Niebuhr perhaps said it best in his prayer, "God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference." We're called to explore our own corner of this global house, to look close and to clean up the things we can clean up. And there are a few things. Consider, today 1 out of every 7 barrels of oil produced in the world is consumed on American highways. In our country, suicide has become the second leading cause of death among college students, where this consumeristic culture defines their success in terms of possessions or sexual marketability. In this corner of the global house, top CEOs earn at least 400 times the pay of the average worker, a ratio that's increased exponentially over the past 30 years. The rich are getting richer, the poor poorer, and 45 million Americans have no health care insurance. Dear friends, as we look to the incredible gifts of this country, as we look at democracy, the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, and our abundant resources, we still need to ask, why isn't the United States a leader in the environmental movement? Why can't we sign a treaty on global warming? Why have we come to learn to live with a permanent underclass as if they're not even there? Why are 13 million American children hungry. Our faith calls us to look closely at these things. And even more closely, we're called to look at our own lives, in our own hearts. Look at your life as it's unfolding. When all is said and done, what will people say was your purpose in life? For me, I think folks will say she loved her family. She loved being a pastor. She loved watching her daughters play volleyball and reading good books and going to Glacier Park at least once a year. But I wonder, will they say she loved the poor? She spoke up for justice and peace. Will they say that she took a risk for the sake of the gospel? The Bible calls us to look at our world, our country, and our own lives, to look at what needs to be cleaned up in our own little corner, and to do the work which makes for peace. In today's lesson, the prophet Isaiah paints the picture of perfect peace, that place where instruments of death are turned into implements for life, for harvesting the fields, and where nations don't even have to study about war anymore. And the vision of Isaiah doesn't just fill one corner of the globe. Isaiah describes a day when many peoples will come to the house of God, when many nations will come to live in the ways of justice and peace. In the book of Revelation, this vision is expanded, for now God brings down a whole city, the New Jerusalem, right down to us from heaven to earth. And God promises to dwell in this home, even to plant a tree of life there for the healing of the nations. And not just the healing of one nation, not just the healing of the United States, but the healing of Iraq and Israel, of Palestine and Afghanistan. That is God's vision, God's promise. And we're renewed in that promise each time we gather for weekly worship. For in worship, God speaks to each of us, saying, "Welcome home, my beloved. In my name you are forgiven and made new." Oh, even if you don't always get it right, and you won't, you are welcome in my house of prayer. As Ephesians put it, you are no longer a stranger, but a member of the household of God. Oh yes, we all live together in this global house. We work with passion for its welfare and wholeness. We strive to clean up our corner of the world, to reform our own lives. But just as we live with passion for this global home, we also live with amazing hope, knowing, as Augustine reminds us, that we're also residents of an eternal home, a heavenly household. And that hope sets us free to truly engage in the world, to serve without fear, because we know that our future is held secure in God's hand. Yes, in worship we glimpse the vision, this peace from God which spans the globe, this tree of life for the healing of all the nations. And in worship we are freed to seek to live out that vision, to love and act and sacrifice with boldness, for we know that God will hold us as we face that work of living and loving and cleaning up our global home. We are peacemakers, and we work for peace with joy and with hope, because we know that our life is held secure in the eternal household of God.